Welcome to Stream of Conscience, brought to you by Democracy for America, Fairfield County, where we believe that change is possible and you can make it happen. I'm your host, John Hartwell. Our guest today is Nancy Alderman, President of the Environment and Human Health Incorporated, an organization dedicated to protecting human health from environmental harm through education, research, and the promotion of sound public policy. EHHI is supported by foundations and private donations and is comprised of 10 people who are physicians, public health professionals, and policy experts, including professors at the Yale School of Medicine and the former Connecticut Commissioner of Public Health. Nancy Alderman is a past president of the Connecticut Fund for the Environment and has served on the Governor's Pollution Prevention Task Force and the National Board of the Environmental Defense Fund. She also has won awards for her contributions in the area of environmental health. Nancy, welcome to Stream of Conscience.
Thank you, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
How did you get involved in the environmental movement?
Oh, it's a longer story than we can do tonight, much longer. We live in a very lovely neighborhood where there was an Upjohn chemical plant 2 miles from it, which nobody knew about. And it is an incredibly long story. But after many years, we collected enough proxy votes that we could actually go and talk at their annual meeting in Kalamazoo.
Wow.
And that was an amazing event.
So that was public, that was on the ground organizing.
Absolutely.
Getting people involved.
Right.
That's terrific. That's exactly what we do.
Yep.
So
it's amazing.
Then you went to Yale.
Well, no, I mean, what I did was, because I had only had 2 years of college, I am old enough, I was part of the group that left college, got married, raised children, and then I did the environment, and I did it for years. And, but I realized that the largest hole in the environmental movement was health. And from the board perspective, which is where I was, I couldn't get the groups to really focus on health.
Really?
No, I had a terrible time. So I decided if I was going to do health, I had to go back to school and do it. And so I went back living in North Haven. The closest place was Yale. And so
Not a bad school.
It wasn't a bad school. So I went undergraduate, and then I went graduate school.
Wow.
And the minute I came out, I started Environment and Human Health, Inc. And it was 1997. It's been amazing because of the people who are a part of it. And what most of them say is, you know, it's fine to be academic and have all the work on the shelf. It's another thing to get policy and to actually change and have people read reports and do something about them.
So research is obviously useful and necessary, but it's not enough.
Well, if it doesn't get read, and it doesn't move policy, and people don't grab it to change policy, it's not enough.
So what areas of public policy are you working on now?
We have 3 initiatives this year.
Okay.
Every year we have 2 or 3 initiatives. This year we are working on tanning. We would like to ban tanning for minors. It has been proven that if you use a tanning bed before the age of 30, you have a 75% greater chance of getting melanomas, which, as we all know, are deadly. Yes, well, it's the worst form,
right.
And it's deadly skin cancer.
Yeah.
And the ties between young people using tanning beds and their later, in their young years, not late years, developing melanomas is enormous. And so the organizations that have asked for minors to be banned are the National Academy of Pediatrics in March asked that no children under 18 use a tanning bed. The Academy of Dermatology has asked that nobody under 18 use a tanning bed. The World Health Organization has asked it, and the National Cancer. So they've all come, and California has just, the first state, has just banned the use of tanning beds for minors. You know, we protect minors from cigarettes, we protect minors from alcohol, and the World Health Organization says that tanning beds are now equal in their ability to cause cancer, deadly cancers, to asbestos and cigarettes.
So what do we do here in Connecticut to move this forward?
Well, we have a bill.
Okay.
The legislature doesn't start till January, and we've already met with the Public Health Committee and said, you know, the science is now there. It's time for a bill. And so we will present a bill. Now, last year we did too, but it wasn't to ban. It was simply to have parents agree to children under 18. But the science has moved since last year.
Really?
And so also, when you ask for parents' consent, the abortion, people who don't like abortion, tack things onto that bill, and then it never gets raised.
Right.
So this year, the science really is enough to say we need to ban it. So that's one. And we'll see how that bill does. We're hopeful.
Do you have a sponsor in the House and the Senate for that bill?
Well, it will start at the Public Health Committee, because it comes under Public Health.
Right.
So,
but what I'm asking is if there's anyone that you've identified who's ready to step up and lead the charge from inside the legislature.
Oh, I don't know that yet. We will know that.
Okay.
Environment and Human Health has a lobbyist.
Okay.
You can't function. You really cannot function up at the state without a lobbyist.
Right.
You just cannot. And so we have a lobbyist. We have very good lobbyists. So we will move that along as we move. I'm sure we will find people who will be very supportive.
So tanning is one of the three issues.
Right.
The
so
other
now
two are?
We'll move to a preemption clause for lawn care pesticides. One of our first studies that we ever did, and it is the largest study in the country, is we looked at private wells in one town. And we chose the town of Woodbridge, Connecticut, because it's basically a bedroom town. They're all on private wells.
Yep.
There's no industry. And we thought whatever we find there is going to be indicative of what's around the state.
Right.
So we, and people don't test for pesticides. When they say their wells are tested, they are. But they're tested for 19th century things. They're tested for E. coli, they're tested for bacteria, they're tested for color, whatever. They're not tested for pesticides.
Right.
Very expensive to test your well for pesticides. And then you have to know which ones. So anybody who's interested actually can go to our website. It is in our report of which pesticides to test for. And our website is our initials.
Right.
So it's www.ehhi.org.
Right.
But what we found was really interesting. We divided people into regular users of pesticides, intermittent users, and non-users. And what we found was 11% of the wells had pesticides in them, and many were non-users. And if you think about it, it makes sense. As Rachel Carson told us, pesticides are used anywhere in a town. They can show up anywhere else in the town.
Right. Because the water table runs under the entire town.
It keeps moving.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what we also found when we test pesticides for their health effects, we test one at a time. So we can tell you what 2,4-D, what those health effects are. But one of the wells had 5 pesticides. We can't, nobody can tell that person.
We don't know what the combination's going to do.
Have no idea.
Yeah.
Have no idea. 2 of the wells had 4 pesticides. Another well had 3. We only had 1 well that had 1 pesticide.
Now, pesticides and fertilizers are used in so many places. I mean, so many people I know go to Home Depot or someplace like that,
but they have very different effects. Fertilizer isn't good for ponds. Fertilizer isn't good for rivers. Fertilizer isn't good for the sound. Pesticides are designed to kill.
Right.
That's the difference. Herbicides, insecticides, and fungicides are all pesticides. Okay, and those are designed to kill living things. They are harmful.
Right.
And so
seems pretty simple.
It's very simple. So what are we trying to do this year? The pesticide industry put in 42 states in the last 20 years a pesticide preemption clause, which says No town in Connecticut can have stricter lawn care laws than the state.
Right.
Now that's backwards. The way laws are written in this country is the federal government sets the baseline. States can be stricter than the federal government, and your town can be stricter than your state. That's the way they're all written. Mm-hmm. So what did tobacco and pesticides do? They flipped it.
Right.
And they flipped it because it was easier to lobby at the state than in 169 towns in Connecticut.
Exactly.
So let's take the town, we're sitting here in Norwalk.
Right.
Let's take Norwalk or Westport that has a number of wells, or Greenwich that has a lot of wells. If they decide, or Woodbridge that's all wells.
All wells.
Let's say they decide that they want that town to be organic, the way they have in Canada. You can't do it here. So what we are trying to do is get rid of the lawn care preemption that was never there before, mm-hmm. and allow towns to do what they think is best for their town. They don't have to go organic. They don't have to do anything. But they should have the right to do what they feel is best for their town.
So again, you're operating at the state level.
Yes.
In the legislature.
Yes.
And you're going to have somebody raise a bill, hopefully.
Well, we've already met.
Okay.
With Dick Roy from Milford.
Mm-hmm.
He's the co-chair of the Environment Committee.
Right.
And with Ed Myers, who is from Guilford, Branford.
He's the state senator who's the chair of the Environment Committee
right.
in the state Senate.
So this goes under Environment.
Mm-hmm.
Tanning went under Public Health.
Okay.
This goes under Environment.
Okay.
And so they have already said they will raise it.
Good.
They will raise it.
Mm-hmm.
The pesticide industry will go ballistic.
Absolutely.
Because it's in 42 states.
Mm-hmm.
So goes Connecticut.
Right.
So goes 42 states.
Right.
We have a website that gets 60,000 visits a month. On our website are all these laws that we have changed. So we did school buses to protect children from diesel. We get calls from many states. They can just go to our website, find out how we changed the law, and copy it. Mm-hmm. So that is the beauty of having such a website.
Right, and in addition to your website, which is a little bit passive because you would have to make an effort to go there, you can also sign up for your daily newsletter. Yes. And here's something every day from Nancy daily. About what's going on. What's going on?
Right. We never ask for money.
Uh-huh.
We are unique. I mean, at this time of year, everybody's asking for money.
Absolutely.
We never ask it's not that we never ask anybody for money. We never use this email list to ever ask for money or to ever ask anybody to do anything. This is an informational email list that we send out one either news study, or newspaper article every day to just simply inform people about environment and health.
And it really is every day. I can attest to the fact that every day I open up my Gmail and there's Nancy.
There's me.
It's something to read every day.
Right.
So you're pushing for the end of the preemption for pesticides.
Right.
And I hope
lawn care, only lawn care.
Lawn care, because I want, in addition to being able to get rid of the pesticides, I also want us to be able to dial back the use of the fertilizers. Because drinking water and the sound and the fish, I mean, it's just all terribly
But it's another
impacted.
issue. I agree with you.
It's another issue, and it's not as much of a health issue in the short run, but it's certainly...
Oh, it's a big issue.
It's a big issue.
It's a big issue, and actually is probably easier to deal with.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
I think when you tell me that, we're putting stuff out there that's going to kill people, you think that would get...
Think about dogs.
That would get everyone's attention.
I mean, we know now, I think it's a third of our dogs are getting cancer. Think about their paws. Or if you have a cat that's even smaller, think about those paws on a lawn that has been treated. Mm-hmm. If people care about their dogs and their cats, they will think about that.
And with a cat, of course, they come inside, they lie down, and then they lick their paw and they start brushing their fur, and so whatever was on their paw is going directly into their mouth.
Right. So people really need to think about their pets a lot.
And their children who might be playing in the yard as well. So,
for sure, their children.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is so difficult. The third thing, and I'm afraid most of your viewers might not even know what it is. It's an outdoor wood furnace.
Right.
This is not an indoor wood stove. This is not a fireplace. This is not a fire pit. This is an outdoor wood furnace, which is a shed, which is outside a house, and it burns 24/7 to heat people's house. The pipes are underground, and it puts out as much smoke as 22 indoor wood stoves, each and every one of them.
Wow.
They are killing, I don't want to exaggerate, except somebody did die in Vermont from one. They are harming neighbors that are in the plume. The plume goes
So
for
if you're
half a mile.
downwind, you've got a problem.
You have a big problem.
Yeah.
And then you can't sell your house because your house is encased in smoke.
Right.
And you can't sell it. So you have to be rich enough to leave your house and get another house and just abandon the house.
So how big a problem is that in Connecticut? Because you're right, I'd not heard about this before I started reading about it in your newsletters. So
It's not big in the cities.
No.
Because Connecticut has to have a 200-foot setback. So in your cities, it's pretty non-existent. But in your suburbs, it is not non-existent. So if you live in a suburb where the houses are fairly close, that part can be okay. But then that suburb probably has land where the houses are further apart. That's where you get into trouble. And the reason we're having so much trouble getting anywhere with this problem is the enemies that it has. It has all the farmers. There's something called the Association of Farm Bureaus.
Yes.
They are in every state, and they are against anything being done to stop outdoor wood furnaces.
But I have a hard time believing that in the 21st century that there are so many people out there actually heating their homes by burning wood in an outdoor furnace 24 hours a day.
When you go to the Capitol for the hearing, you bring the people who are being harmed, the ones that can come. It's a daytime hearing.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And you sit all day
Yep.
to talk 3 minutes.
That's right.
So people who need to earn a living have more trouble getting there. Then you have all the farmers who arrive. So you have hundreds of them at that hearing. And they all say they can't do their farming without it because heating is so expensive right now. So they can save $2,000, but your homeowner is losing $300,000.
But why wouldn't they prefer to have an indoor stove?
They have a lot of free wood, farmers.
Yeah.
And what we learned when we were exempting farmers, which we did do last year, the farmers also consider the forests, the forestry, timber people, farmers. They want you to burn wood 24/7 in a huge shed, so you'll buy their wood. So, and then you have the manufacturers who are trying to sell these things.
Right.
And so far, we have only 2 states that have banned them, only 2, Washington and Oregon. And it's been really difficult. And the sadness for me is how sick these people are.
Yeah.
They are cigarette smoke and wood smoke, even though we all think wood smoke is fabulous. It actually has the same components. So if you burn in your fireplace, it's okay. It has regulated chimneys and it's okay. But if you burn one of these things and it's in a plume for half a mile and it's in a low plume, it doesn't dissipate, all those people in those houses, and that's what our charts show, is that they are breathing air that EPA says will make them sick, and they are sick. So they have, many of them get bronchitis, they're on prednisone, they're on inhalers, they are on antibiotics when they get pneumonia, they are sick all the time. And yet, we regulate cigarettes. We have not, as a state, been able to deal with this. It is very serious.
Well, of course, the regulation of cigarettes took forever.
And I'm afraid this will, but I'm afraid we're going to lose people. If you If you smoke a cigarette now and you smoke it for 5 years, you probably won't get sick for a number of years. If you breathe in that much wood smoke, starting today, in 2 weeks you're going to be very sick. Yeah. And that's the difference.
And it's a big enough problem that there are enough of these wood stoves around that it really needs to be regulated.
Oh my God, and industry is pushing them. And when you go, the internet is wonderful, but it lets in all kinds of things. So they do studies. You know, they have a website that tells you that they're clean and that they're lovely. So it's a problem. They are really pushing them. And then we have legislators in the state who represent people who sell them. And it's their job to make sure we get no regulations. And in fact, the law that Connecticut has forbids the DEP from doing any further regulation. So even though our Department of Environmental Protection can regulate outside air, it is forbidden by the legislature to regulate outdoor wood furnaces.
And do you think the DEP would be in favor of overturning that law and allowing unleashing itself?
We have 2 initiatives this year for outdoor wood furnaces, and one of them is to restore to the DEP their ability to regulate outdoor wood furnaces. And then the second initiative is that only certified, I hope we will get this, only certified indoor wood stoves, of which many are certified, and certified outdoor wood furnaces can be sold in Connecticut. So that's what we're going to try to do, and we'll see. That's our hardest piece by far.
Well, we will certainly be watching and reading every day in the emails, and I definitely urge anyone who has an interest in environmental health issues to sign up for Nancy's newsletter. As she says, she never asks you for money. She just provides the information. It's there for you to read. It's there every day, and it's a tremendous service that you provide.
Good.
Thank you so much for your work.
You're welcome.
And I'd love to have you back after the session and talk about
the
victory.
It's not always good.
No, but I'm hopeful that we'll get some things done.
Me too.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And now, a stream of conscience commentary with Kate Tepper.
If I were to tell you that a secret dark force has been trying to undermine our nation's democracy for nearly 40 years, you'd probably think of some fantasy character like Darth Vader in Star Wars, or he whose name shall not be spoken in Harry Potter. Well, you'd be wrong, because there is such a dark and subversive entity right here in the United States, and its name is ALEC. ALEC is the acronym for the American Legislative Exchange Council, and it is the most powerful force you never heard of. ALEC isn't just any old lobby organization or a political front group. It is much more powerful, and its tentacles reach into every state house in America. The organization consists of over 2,000 legislators from every state in the country and 300 or more gigantic corporations. Walmart, Coca-Cola, Koch brothers, Pfizer, and ExxonMobil are just a few members of this exclusive Club for Corporate Growth. ALEC is a critical arm of fundamental right-wing policy activists and is underwritten by major global corporations. It collaborates with conservative legislators to introduce corporate-friendly laws into every state capital. In return, the legislators get to rub shoulders with large campaign donors at very expensive vacation sites where ALEC foots the bill. By developing what it terms model legislation, ALEC reflects the long-term goals of right-wing activists to downsize government, increase corporate control, and undermine the strength of middle and working-class families. This agenda includes egregious tax loopholes for mega industries and the super-rich, proposals to offshore US jobs and gut minimum wage, weaken public health legislation, and destroy environmental protections. The secrecy of this organization makes it virtually impossible to hold its economically and politically powerful corporations and super wealthy sponsors accountable. ALEC's priorities for 2011 included bills to privatize education, break unions, deregulate major industries, and pass repressive voter ID laws. Connecticut is not immune to ALEC's influence. More than 23 of Connecticut's Republican state legislators have ties to ALEC. These Republicans have introduced bills drafted by ALEC ghostwriters that would undermine or eliminate state-mandated environmental protections. They've also proposed a bill giving tax loopholes to corporations that help to fund private and religious schools, an obvious violation of the separation of church and state. Fortunately, our more progressive representatives have said a resounding no to these proposals. In other states, ALEC is more successful and boasts that over 1 in 5 of the 1,000 or so regressive model legislations it proposes are actually passed into law. ALEC doesn't wear a scary black mask, but it does try to hide under a coat of invisibility that is turning its fantasy of absolute corporate control into a very real nightmare for the future of our democracy. Now, you may not have a magic wand to wave, but you do have a voice and a vote, and in the real world, they are powerful weapons indeed. Join with Democracy for America and other progressive organizations and use that voice to expose and denounce ALEC's corporate insurgency. Network with friends, tell your neighbors, and call your state legislators. Put them on notice that ALEC has been exposed and its power will be diminished and destroyed, not by magic, but by the reality of your commitment to justice and equality. This has been a Stream of Conscience commentary. I'm Kate Tepper. Thanks for watching.
That's our show for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. If you live in the town served by Cablevision from Norwalk, you can catch our show every Wednesday on Channel 88 at a new time of 8 p.m. If you're interested in learning more about progressive political action in Fairfield County, please check out our Democracy for America group. We meet the first Wednesday of the month, 7 to 9 p.m. at the Silver Star Diner in Norwalk, and we always welcome new members. Remember, change is possible, and you can make it happen. This has been Stream of Conscience, and I'm your host, John Hartwell. We hope to see you again soon.